It's hard to say how likely it is. I think in the form that was proposed a month ago, they've already started. I did that tweet storm, and then the next day, I got a couple texts like, "Hey, people are talking about this in Washington." And then the next day, the Wall Street Journal reported that they're considering revising it. I'm not taking credit for that, but it's possible that they've been pretty reasonable about taking feedback from. They took feedback from the market yesterday and kind of paused on the Southeast Asia and other tariffs. So it's possible they'll.
What are you talking about, Ryan? That was just art of the deal. That was the plan the whole time.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Market negotiation. There was no market. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. The art of the deal is like do something crazy and make everybody think there's no hope, and then switcheroo at the end. So, and the April 17th date, I don't think is set in stone. It's very possible that there's flexibility, and that I just said we can't really say what will happen. The biggest clause, in fact, in this, you mentioned, there is a what will happen in LA would be congestion like we saw in COVID. I mean, if all the ships go there, LA port, Long Beach port just can't keep up. They barely kept up with a 20% increase, which is what you saw during COVID. But if all the ships only went there, it would be a massive surge. So. But actually, there's another clause in here, and this one I think is almost certain to go away because it's just too bad for American exporters. The other clause is that within 7 years, 15% of exports from the United States must travel on an American-made ship crewed by American citizens. And there's only 23 of those container ships in the world today, and none of them go where our exports are going. These are ships that are serving the domestic ocean freight market, meaning traveling to Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and Puerto Rico, as well as, this is called the Jones Act. So you have to, in order to travel domestically, you have to be made in America. So it's kind of a Jones Act on steroids. And the Jones Act is, I think you can very clearly say Jones Act is a failure. It was designed to promote American shipbuilding, and we didn't make any container ships last year. So we got to try something else.
I really want to stick to that point because this is very important. Let's put this one up on the screen, guys. The next one, which really underscores Ryan's point about the number of ships that were actually built in the United States compared to China. What's the statistic is that China produced more ships in 2024 than all of the United States since post-World War II era. Just to give people an idea, as you said, we did not build a single ship in 2024. The Jones Act thing that you just brought up reminds me of the tariff discussion, where we have in a regulatory regime which is designed to quote unquote promote shipbuilding by creating a ring around the industry. But simultaneously, we give no money to the shipbuilding industry, incentives, supply chain, all of the industrial production that the Chinese offer. And so what happens? You both have a regulatory thing that increases costs while also not building any more ships. So you have the worst of both of those things. So I'm curious for your reflection based upon that policy that they're putting into place, and also the lack of investment right now coming from the White House on any of this.
Yeah, actually, well, we should note there was an executive order.
There was one yesterday, right, in the Oval Office.
Last night, and it's not clear enough about what benefits there will be, but it very clearly states, hey, the biggest probably barrier to shipbuilding in the United States, by the way, is things like the California Coastal Commission. I mean, good luck trying to make a shipyard on the West Coast of the United States. These guys won't let you, you can't have a beach hut, like you're not building a ship yard. And so it's regulatory. Can you get red tape out of the way? Can you actually allow these things to get built? The model here, the real thing, the real danger here, and actually I would look at it the same way I look at these tariffs, is if you're just putting up protective barriers and protecting U.S. industry and sort of coddling our industry, yes, you might actually make some companies out of that. But will they be good companies? Because if you just make crappy products and the only reason those can survive is because there's no competition from abroad, all you've done is hurt the American people on a net basis. What the lesson to learn here is from East Asia, where they went and industrialized. And the key requirement of the successful countries that industrialized was that you must export. Your products must be good enough that people in other countries want. So you don't just give them money, but you give them benefits when they export. You give them encouragement to go and export, and you require it in order to hit subsidies. You must be able to win export markets. And so you can actually see advantage, like India tried to make, there were car companies in India. that only served domestic and were protected from foreign automakers, and their cars didn't improve from like the 1950s to the 1990s. Malaysia,
I can as well.
Yeah.
whereas Japan and Korea actually focused on export markets and made great cars and great companies and kind of took over the world. So if we're going to reindustrialize, it really has to be export oriented. And that's what's so dumb about this policy. It's like you're going to cap American exporters and kneecap them and say, hey, you have to travel on American-made ships. Oops, there are none.
Yeah.
Like, good luck, exporters. It's like, it's really bad policy.
Give us some sense of what you're seeing, from your vantage point economically, and how you think there's sort of like a reaction like Trump's rolled back all the tariffs. Of course, he hasn't. There's still massive tariffs on China, well over 100%, 10% tariffs almost across the board around the world. So, what are you seeing in terms of what the fallout from that could be? What early indications do you have?
Yeah, so when it was the big reciprocal tariffs on everybody, I mean, that was sort of nuclear winter for the international trade community. People were it was a really scary couple of days. We, for our customers, Flexport's designed to ride out anything. We have a really strong balance sheet, and we believe deeply that like the technology we're building and over the long run here is just going to be like, people will want it regardless of how much trade there is. But we're very worried for our customers. In fact, we saw that 28% of all of our customers that we surveyed said that they would cancel all ocean freight bookings entering the United States as soon as the tariff went into effect.
Wow.
That we didn't actually see that yet, but that's what they told us they were planning to do. Now, obviously, the ones that aren't China have now said, okay, the 10% is business as usual, basically. And then China-oriented ones just got hit with a much bigger tariff. And I think a lot of folks are going to be in a world of pain. This is really ugly. And it's just a huge number of companies. I think you're going to have mass bankruptcies of companies in the United States if this goes through. And I personally predict there will be another deal to get done with China. I don't think Trump wants that to be his legacy, is just like central planning of the economy that puts tons of companies overnight out of business and creates unemployment in our country.
Ryan, so there's a 90-day pause, et cetera, 10% tariff, but as you just alluded to, the 125%, or maybe 150%, no one is actually clear on that, what the tariff rate there is. I believe it's about 12% of U.S., 12% of trade there stands in terms of goods with China. Since you have some insight into this, what are the categories of goods that are coming over on these ships? Like, is it everything, furniture, what type of inputs and others? Can we expect to see immediate price hikes, consumer hikes, and bankruptcies? What industry should we be looking at?
Certainly, the stuff that's been the hardest to move out of China has been consumer electronics. There's just this whole ecosystem of subcomponent manufacturers that you just can't lift and shift it. So, I mean, apparel, things that are where the main input is just cheap labor, that largely left China over the last 15 years already, because China is no longer the low-cost labor provider for the world. It's actually the high-skilled manufacturing center, and so it's higher. It's things that are more intricate, that are that require lots of subcomponents. So yeah, consumer electronics is the big one. Your iPhone's made in China, so they've got some production and they're shifting more, but it's most of those things are made in China. Computers, TVs. And a broad range of stuff, but there is some furniture from there. A lot of furniture has already moved to Indonesia and Vietnam, but we have the tariff on a sofa from China is going to be 159%, if I'm doing the math right in my head, or 154%, excuse me. Yeah, it's ugly out there.
Wow.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Ryan. It's really just so useful to get your perspective, since you deal with like the nuts and bolts of how this all actually works. So thank you for taking the time. I know you're an extremely busy guy.
That's right. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate you. Everybody go follow him on Twitter. The best insights out of anybody out there. Somebody actually does the work. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.